In this video, I'm going to show you how to build a drag and drop list that's something like this. So as you select, changes color, everything moves out of the way, and you can just drop it wherever you like. Now, one of the challenges with this type of thing is that you're never going to get 100% browser compatibility. It's really never going to happen. And in fact, Firefox in particular has challenges with this type of thing. So I'm not going to give you 100% browser compatibility, but I'm on Google Chrome here, and here's Firefox, and I can at least show you how to get it working on Firefox as well, something that a lot of developers have struggled with. So this is what we're going to build. The pace is going to be quite quick, but I'm sure you can handle it, and here we go. Alright, now I'm just going to try and do this in one take, and I don't have any notes, so I apologize for the mistakes that are going to happen, right? In any event, I've created a file called dragandrop.html, and on the right hand side I've got Google Chrome, but I've also got Firefox handy, and I'm going to be juggling between the two of them here. Let's start off by creating a web page. Now this web page is going to have a div with an ID of drop zone, and drop zone is going to contain a bunch of other divs that I'm going to refer to as nodes. Each div will have a class of node, and each div will also have a unique ID. My visualization is that we've selected a bunch of options from a database, perhaps a navigation bar options or something like that. So I'm just going to say, how about record ID? And we will have, let's have 8 of these. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we'll add in some random values. So just some numbers. They would probably be completely random. Imagine these are record IDs from a database, right? So anything at all that works for you, just chuck it on in. And there we go. All right, so just make sure that they are unique as far as the IDs go. That's the main thing, right? Now, these things, as I was saying, they're probably going to represent some kind of list. Perhaps it's going to be a navigation menu or an admin panel or something. I banged the microphone, apologies. But let's just add in some text that will make this meaningful. So for me, it's an imaginary jewelry shop. I'm just going to chuck in some options here like gold, silver, rings, watches. Let's have necklaces. Let's have charms. How about bracelets? And anything you want. I'll make the last one designer jewelry, I think. Okay. Anything you want, doesn't really matter. Now, if we head over and refresh, not too much happening on Firefox, and obviously same on Chrome. So let's do a bit of styling here, and I'm going to style the drop zone. So I'm going to say drop zone. Let's have a background color of powder blue, and how about a margin of 0.5 em, and how about some padding of 0.4 em, and how about a minimum height of 100 VH. You don't need to do this, but something that makes you feel good. I think I'm also going to make the font size a bit bigger. Okay, I'll go with 1.4 em, and there we go. So let's also now style each of these nodes. I'm going to say background color, and I'm going to go with corn silk, and I'm going to say margin 0.5 em, and I'm going to say padding 0.4 em, and I'm going to say border 3 pixels sky blue solid. Alright, and there we go. And over to Google Chrome, or pardon me, yeah, this is Firefox, forgive me. The Firefox is cool and Chrome is cool. So we're now going to bring this to life with the help of some JavaScript. This is a good time to open up the inspector, and we'll keep an eye on the console as we do this. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is make all of these nodes draggable. We can do that by saying draggable equals true. Now I'm going to do some JavaScript, so I'll add some JavaScript tags here, and I'm going to create 4 variables. I'm going to say var dropZone equals document.get element by ID dropZone, and then I'm going to have var nodes equals document.get elements by class name node. Then we're going to have var selected node, just have that empty. And how about var selected node position, let's just say equals 0. So I'm going to loop through the nodes that I've got, and for each and every node I'm going to add on an event listener. So add event listener. The first event listener that I'm going to add has nothing to do with drag and drop, but I'm just going to add one for mouse down. And event listeners produce callbacks that have all got an event object. And if we were to say console.log event.target.id, and if we were to click, you'll see in the console it's giving us the ID of whatever we're clicking on. By the way, I'm working on some software that does things to Sublime Text, and my tab is not working, so I apologize for that, right? You see me spacing out and whatnot. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say document.getElement by ID .style .background color equals, and here's one that you've probably not tried too often, tomato. Just a wee bit of fun, right? So click, and there we go. Okay, now the next event listener that I'd like to add on to each and every node is one that's going to be called drag start. So let's just say console.log the drag has started. So if we refresh, you can see it's saying that the drag has started. Now, I'm going to jump over to Firefox for a moment here and do the same thing. And we're getting a console.log that the drag has started, but we're not getting that same nice drag effect that we see on Google Chrome. So in order to get that happening, I'm going to add another event listener, but this time it's an event listener on the entire drop zone. I'm going to say add event listener. This time it's going to be drag over. So this gets invoked when something drags over the top of it. And again, like any event listener, it's going to give us a callback with access to an event object. So we can just say console.log something is dragging over the drop zone. And I'll take you to Google Chrome first actually. And as we do that, it's saying something is dragging over the drop zone. Here on Firefox, nothing. So to get this working on Firefox, we need to say event.prevent default. Okay, we're going to drag and there, oh, actually, can you believe it? It's still not happening. Believe it or not, there's another thing we need to do for Firefox, and I just remembered. We need to look at the data transfer object. Let me give you the definition here. The data transfer object is used to hold the data that is being dragged during a drag and drop operation. And unfortunately, you need this if you want this to work on Firefox. You can build it quite happily for anything else without using the data object, but if you're interested in having it working with Firefox, then unfortunately this is what you've got to do. Now, it's only one line of code, so I'm sure you can definitely handle it. we're going to go to our drag start here, and I'm going to say event dot data transfer dot set data. It's going to be set with a type of text, and the value is going to be event.target.id. Now here we are on Firefox, and now finally we have our drag working. Now do you see what just happened there? I dropped it and Firefox decided, let's take them to another page. That's how crazy Firefox is, folks. That's how crazy it is. So to prevent that, we're going to add another event listener. We're going to call it drop. I'm going to just do console.log dropped, and we're going to have this event prevent default again. Now, no problems on Chrome. I'm not even going to test it. We know it's going to be fine on Chrome. Let's go back to Firefox here, drag around, and now we're okay. And you'll see that it's saying console.log dropped. Isn't it funny how you need to add both of these in here just to keep just to keep Firefox working, you know? Just one of those things, folks. What can you do? What can you do? Anyway, now let's have a closer look at this. If we take the gold, for example, do you see how there's two of them here? I'm not too into that. I'm not too into that at all. I would like to actually pull the thing out of the list. So when we start a drag, I'm going to say drop zone dot remove child, and I'm going to remove the thing that I've selected. And see the node that I've selected? I would like that to be represented by this selected node value here. So I'm going to say selected node equals document.getElementById event.target.id, and now we're going to remove the selected node. Now as we refresh and do that, you'll see that it just disappears. Same with on Google Chrome. It's going to be exactly the same. You see how it's just disappearing? So what's happening there is the moment we drag it, it's just removing it. And that's not what we really want. So to stop that from happening, we're going to add in a little set timeout. Let's add maybe a couple of seconds on, just so that I can show you this. And we'll have the remove firing after 2 seconds. So here we go. 1, 2, and there it goes. Now the good news is you don't need it to be 2 seconds. You can even have it at 0 and it will be fine. Here's Chrome. Perfect. Here comes Firefox. Perfect. Okay, so the key to doing that is having that remove child thing. Now if anybody's wondering, why did I bother setting this select node? What's that all about? The answer is, if I don't do that, then when we are pulling something off of a list, it's actually removing it quite literally from the drop zone. And later on you're going to run into troubles when you try and add it. And it's going to say, hang on, we don't have anything with an inner HTML of silver or whatever. So this is why we're using selected node here, right? Okay, so far so good. Now, what I would like to do next is when we are dragging around, I would like to know precisely where our selected div happens to be. Now let me show you something that's slightly cool, and I'll use Google Chrome because I think the console is clearer. We have access to a thing in this event object called client Y. If we say event.clientY and drag around, can you see we've got this number on the console? And you'll see that it moves towards 0 as we go to the top, and away from 0. It gets higher and higher, the number that is, as we move down the page. What I would really like to know is, where is the selected div in relation to the other nodes on the page. In fact, I would like to ask the question, where am I? And I'm going to make a little method up called where am I. It's going to take in our current Y position, and it's going to basically return exactly where we are in terms of relative to those other nodes. Now the first thing I'm going to do with this, by the way, is I'm going to establish the positions of all of those other nodes on the page. And in fact, this is something that I think is going to be quite handy potentially, especially if you're going to do database updates and things like that later on. Let's say establish node positions. And I think it's worth making that a method in its own right, in fact. So we'll say function establish node positions. There we go. So we're going to loop through the nodes. We're going to say var element equals document get element by ID. And for each and every node, we are going to say var position equals. Now this might be a little bit new to some of you folks. It's going to be element dot get bounding client rect. The rect stands for rectangle, and what we're doing is we're getting the position of the node on the page. Now we can say var y top is position.top. We can say var y bottom is position.bottom. And just to show you that this is doing something meaningful, let's just say console.log, and how about maybe nodes I, perhaps inner HTML, and we can say has top value of, and we can say y top. And how about if we do that with the lower value? So we'll say has a bottom value of, and we'll go like that. Let me add in a few lines for clarity here. And we're going to refresh. And as we move around, you can see that it's giving us the precise positions of those divs. We've got the y-axis here top. Now remember, the higher up, the closer to 0. So in this case, 397. And then the lower y-axis is 447 in the case of the designer jewelry div. Now, unfortunately, we don't have a Y center, and that's a shame, because I really, like, if I just zoom in here, if I happen to be here or here, just a few pixels, that's really going to matter in terms of where this thing's going to drop. So I need to know the exact center. It has to be precise. I want to know it. Now, unfortunately, we do not have a position.center or .middle or anything like that. We're going to have to do a little bit of mathematics or arithmetic even. Not even sure what the difference is, you know. Anyway, let's say y center equals, so let's have a think about this. If we take y bottom, which is the higher number, subtract y top, do you agree that that is the distance between the top and the bottom? Fair enough? Now, if we take that and we divide it by 2, do you agree that that is the distance to the center from either the top or the bottom? Fair enough? And since the top value, by the way, is the one with the lowest number, if we say y top and we add on the distance to the center, do you agree that that means we've just successfully calculated precisely where the center of this thing is. Let's give it a try. So we'll refresh, do that, and have a look and just see, does that make sense? It's 422 strike you as being in between 397 and 447. I would say yes. And the good news is, since we're dealing with JavaScript objects, we can add this on to our array as a property. So we can say y pause, or y position. And there you go. So every time we fire establish node positions, it's going to look at what's on the page and it's going to give us the positions with the y-axis of the nodes that are on the page. Kind of cool, right? So what I'd like to do now is identify the node that is directly above the selected node. Now, why on earth do I want to do that? Well, let me take you over to the right hand side. If I happen to be here and I know that gold is directly above me, and I know that gold, by the way, is second, then hey, that means that I must be third in the list. Fair enough. So knowing the node that is directly above is going to be really helpful. Now there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can do this. You could actually have figured it out during this loop here, but I think it would make the code a wee bit messy. So what I'm going to do is, yes, I'm going to just loop through this thing again. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We are not creating a new array. We're not going to run into memory issues or anything. You can loop through an array all day and all night. It causes us no difficulty whatsoever. So I'm going to loop through these nodes here, and I'm going to say if nodes y position, which we now have, is less than the current y position. Well, what does that mean? It means that this node must be higher up the page than the selected node. It must be. I'm going to say var node above equals document get element by ID, and we're going to have that node now assigned to this value of node above. And also, which thing that's really cool is we can say selected node position equals I plus 1. And isn't it nice how I happens to be the priority? It's kind of cool, right? So now we've updated our selected node position. We know the position and everything is fantastic. Of course, there is a chance that somebody could grab one of these and move away up here, and there could be nothing above. So let's cover ourselves for that type of scenario. We're just going to say if type of node above is equivalent to undefined, then selected node position equals 0. And that's us. So now we can console.log the selected node position. Here we go. And as we do that, you see, it's giving us the position in the console. Look, even position 0. Wherever we go, we have the selected node position. It's a fantastic thing. And what that means is that we can now go to our drop event. Let's take you back up there. Here it is here. And we can insert. We do that by saying drop zone, insert before. We're going to say selected node, drop zone dot children, and then we're going to say selected node position in square brackets. So let's give this a try. I've got gold. I'm going to move it second from the bottom. Here we go. Maybe not quite. Let me try that again. Okay. Well, that's interesting. All right, let's just see. Let's see. Dropped onto selected node position. So it's saying dropped onto 3. There must be a syntax error. So drop zone, insert before. We're going to add the selected node, drop zone, children. There we go. This should not be in quotations. That was today's deliberate mistake of the day. Congratulations to everyone who spotted that. So here we go. And it's perfect. Look at that. It's fantasticola. All right. So just 2 things to do, and then this whole thing is going to be perfect. You can see what's going on with the colors, and it's kind of crazy, right? So let's see if we can take care of that. I'm going to say when we drop this thing, how about if we say selected node, and we could say style dot background color equals corn silk. But I'm just going to show you something. Do you see how it's changing immediately? I'm not too into that. So I'm going to say selected node style transition equals let's try 2 seconds. Okay, now as we do that, again, not much use. Unfortunately, we're going to have to throw in another set timeout here to bring this one to life, right? Just like we did before. So I'll add a little tiny fraction of a second before this kicks in. There we go. And let's give this a go. All right, that's perfect. Perfect. Okay. Now the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to move the nodes about, and the way that we do that is actually remarkably simple. If we go back to this where am I, and we've figured out that this node must be higher up, okay, I'm going to do an else statement here. And would you agree that this node must be lower down the page? It has to be, right? So I'm interested in the node below, and it's same code here. The only thing is, I want the node that's immediately below the selected div. I'm not interested in one that's several levels down. It has to be the node immediately below. It's all I want. So I'm going to say if no node below, then I'm going to set this thing. And what that means is that right down here, I can say if type of node below is equivalent to an object, so we do have a node below, right? Well, then we can say node below dot style dot margin top equals, how about 3m? And we can say node below style dot transition equals 1.8 seconds perhaps. I'm going to refresh, click and drag, and it's not too bad, but you can see the problem here, right? We need to have these nodes attempting to return back to some kind of decent position when this thing's being invoked. So just before we do this here, I am going to reset nodes, and it's going to be a very simple little method, reset nodes, which is going to loop through our nodes, and it's just going to say that for the nodes, we're going to have, oh gee, let me get this right. It would be, yeah, it would be document dot get element by ID. There we go. And I'm going to say style dot margin top equals. Now have a look at the styles here. You'll see that we had 0.5 em as the default. So we can do something like that. Let's just refresh. And that's not too bad. Let me just do that again. Pretty cool. All right. And as we drop there, you can see that we've still got that gap there, but that's not a problem at all, because when we drop it, I'm going to reset nodes. There we go. Let me do a couple of super quick tweaks before we end. I've noticed that if you click like that, we can have this going on, and that's not too good. So just before we change that color to tomato, I'm going to loop through the nodes, and I'm going to say .style dot background color equals corn silk. So that should take care of that. Yep, that's cool. And the other thing that I noticed is that if you drag really quickly, I'll just show you. It's kind of difficult. There we go. So the way that we can fix that is we can go right around here, and we're going to just say document.getElement by ID blah 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 style.transition equals 0s. Okay, and now even if we grab it really quick, it's that nice color that we want. Okay, so this is Firefox. Let's take a quick trip over to Google Chrome. This is now Google Chrome we're on, and it looks pretty solid. Okay, I think that'll do us. If I can find somewhere where I can post this online, then I'll do so and leave it in the description. But in the meantime, thanks for watching, and I hope this was helpful.